Hello and welcome to Lamb Living. My name is Holly Lamb and I come to you from St. Simon's Island, Georgia on the Thrift Flip road trip. This is the challenge hosted by Crafting Cousins Trish and Kay and Unicorn Dust Designs Sammie. More about that later. Here's my family and we welcome you to our beautiful island on the coast of Georgia. This is a beautiful place. My husband snapped this picture while he was having lunch one day. Here we are in downtown Brunswick, across from the courthouse, a cute little spot called Hootenannies that my son has a friend who works there. We were having lunch. And here's the dogwood behind my house. It's in full bloom right now and just gorgeous. But we're going to start our thrift flip road trip here at my favorite thrift store, Hello Goodbye in Brunswick. I found this wooden cross for $5 there and just loved it immediately. But I thought maybe for Easter we give it a little bit of a flip. It doesn't need anything. The wood is a beautiful color. So I'm just taking a baby wipe and cleaning it up a bit. I did sand it ever so slightly just to get any bumps and anything off of it. There I am with a sanding block. I'm going to use that sanding block a couple times in my flips today. That's from the Dollar Tree. The only thing really wrong with this cross was it wasn't quite sturdy on its base. So I'm going to use this clear Gorilla Glue, wood glue that I get at Walmart. And I just want it to get up under there. It was on, but it just wouldn't, it was, loose. So we're just going to, I'm just going to put some wood glue on there and then set it up overnight. And I just tried to wipe everything off the outer wood because that's going to leave a sheen. This does dry clear, but it will leave a little bit of a sheen. So I'm just going to set it up overnight and let it dry. And this wood glue works fabulously. Nice and sturdy, no problems. It did leave a little bit of a sheen right there. So I'm going to take one of my nail files that I also use quite often. I order these in a large pack from Amazon and I'll leave those linked below. And I use them a lot. So I'm just going to also, of course, take the sheen off from the wood glue, but I'm going to just kind of put a little bit of distress on the edges of this cross. I almost painted it and then did some transfers, but I decided, no, I'm going to leave it. The hem, the old rugged cross is a favorite of mine and many. So I'm just going to leave it. We're just going to add a beautiful transfer from the Brocante transfer book. I've used this in several of my last few videos, and I just have more and more to, it just keeps on giving, this particular transfer. And so this rose just seemed perfect. Not only is you just struck by its beauty, but then the stems have the thorns, which of course is part of the scorn that Jesus took for our sins in the crown of thorns. And the Bible doesn't say where the soldiers got the thorns, but there's a beautiful song by Andrew Ripp right now called Roses. Maybe that's why God made roses, to help us to remember what Jesus did for us on the cross. And so this rose with the thorns on the stem, I'll show you those here in a bit, just seemed appropriate. Now I am making this transfer fit my project, so I'm taking off some of the leaves and the branches that just didn't seem to fit, and then I'll put a few more leaves back on it here in a minute once I get this down. But I just take my transfer stick, all of the IOD, Redesign by Prima, all the transfers you buy or you can order, all come with a transfer stick, which is just a little piece of plastic. And you just rub it on. If you lose the transfer stick, you can use a case knife or you can use a credit card. And if some of the transfer doesn't come off the backing, you just put it right back down and try again. And transfers are just a delight to use. And here later in this video, I'm going to use transfers from the Dollar Tree, also a delight to use. They might not be quite as easy to use as these from IOD, but they are a great, great find. If you find them at the Dollar Tree, grab them. They're great. Look how pretty So pretty. So that one little leaf was kind of hanging over. I almost went down the sides, which I could have done, but it wouldn't have been even. And so I decided just to keep all the transfer on the front of the cross. And I'll do that on this leaf as well. I'm going to try to decide which leaves to add right there to kind of even that out a bit. And so I tried on this one. Has a little bit of a leaf that hanging off, but I decided to keep it all uniform since I took off that one little corner. I'm going to take that one off as well. And then I'm going to burnish it on. Now, normally I would just dress back a transfer, but I decided that this one just needed to be as pristine as possible. Again, to commemorate the Lord. There's those thorns. They're just there. They're not taking away from the beauty. To the Christian, they just add it and help us to remember his sacrifice. And I love the buds there, ready to burst into bloom. Love it. All right, let's move on to the second DIY. This one I flipped actually before Christmas, but I did not get it into a video, so we're just going to quickly go over how I flipped this frame. I found it at the Restore in Brunswick. It's another one of my faves, and it was in pretty bad shape. They had $5 on the price tag, and it was being left behind. Nobody was taking this home. It was in pretty bad shape, and something about that print. There we go, $5, and my Restore always has some percentage off. They're always trying to clean out. We have great donations, and so they're always full. So I took it outside, and I decided not to spray over that palm tree fern print. I don't know, something about it, I just love it. So I may end up flipping that over after Easter. I don't know, we'll see. But on the back, I went ahead and used a white primer just to seal up any of those, whatever those stains were. We definitely want to seal that up and clean it up. And then the frame, I'm using, black, the black primer. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those all sprayed. And then I'm gonna put one coat of the ink chalk paint. That's of course the Waverly Black chalk paint on that. And then I'm gonna take my sanding block, comes out again, and I'm going to sand back some of the lighter wood that was underneath, the original lighter wood. And I'm also going to be using those Amazon nail files. They come in real handy when I want to get in someplace kind of small and tight. These come in handy. They are 100 grit and then 180 grit on one on each side. And so it has a really nice coarse feel and gets the job done. And I really enjoy those. All right, so I'm not going to show you the my toile wrapping paper with the glitter and the stencil, because that was my backdrop for my nativity on the mantle for Christmas. But I am going to take it back out. Now you see I've put it in there with hot glue, and hot glue is just a crafter's joy because it's not permanent, but it's strong. So it held it in there, no problem, but it's not permanent. I just used a little screwdriver and my X-Acto blade there and popped it right back out of the frame. I'm going to take off all that extra hot glue, and we're going to put it back in with some hot glue. And if I want to redo that fern print on the other side in some way, then I'll just take it back off again. Now look, oh my goodness, these 3 decoupage tissue papers. They're calling them tissue papers, but they are some kind of fabric. They are a great decoupage paper. And so I'm just going to prep my surface here and sand down anything that's not quite, smooth. I want to make a nice smooth surface for my cute little bunny. Oh my goodness. We're going to use the one with the little waistcoat and the red scarf. It just reminds me of Peter Rabbit, and I just love that sweet story of the birds coming to help Peter Rabbit. Even though he's a little naughty, he finds some friends to come help him, and I think he learns his lesson in the end. So I'm just going to make sure that it's, has a nice white a base for my decoupage paper. It is a transparent, it says tissue paper, but it feels like fabric to me. It is a great decoupage paper. Now, it didn't quite fit. It wasn't big enough to fit the entire thing, so I'm going to use these little wooden craft sticks I bought at Walmart and try to make something of a kind of a picket fence, like Mr. McGregor's garden and fence. And I was kind of trying to lay it out here. I know I need to leave maybe just barely an eighth of quarter of an inch to fit it into the frame. So I was just making sure where the decoupage paper needs to go. And then of course I'm using my matte Mod Podge, and I am putting down a nice thick layer. I'm going to do it in, I think I do this in 3 parts. Mod Podge dries really quickly, so a big piece of decoupage like this is better to do in, a couple of parts. So there we go. And because this is so, if this were napkin or tissue or something really thin and had a lot of bubbles, I would not put the decoupage on top yet. I'd let it dry a little bit. But this is a type of fabric. It's this tissue, it's fabric. But so I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the top. And you notice when I put the decoupage on top, I'm swirling it quite a bit. I don't want it to be any straight brush strokes in my sheen, because matte Mod Podge, it's not completely matte. It's pretty matte, but it will have a sheen to it. So I want that to kind of look like a painting and have an arty look. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of swirl my Mod Podge finish there. And there he is. Now, I'm going to take these garden shears that I got at the Dollar Tree. They have a lot of gardening tools out right now. And I'm going to put those little craft sticks right down as close to the hinge as possible, and they just snap right off. Now, I had little pieces going every which way and had to get the broom out, but I got those snapped off. It said there was 150 in this package, and that did the job. I was afraid that I was going to have to go back and get some more, but no, one package did both the top and the bottom above my decoupage, my little bunny here. And I started off doing it nice and neat like this, but if I was going to do 150, I was going to need to put on some gloves and do this a little bit, a little messier. But I did make sure that before I tell you that, yes, I was afraid that with my slats, it might show through this, whatever was in the background. So while I had this water and antique Waverly wax mixed up there in my paper plate, I better go ahead and put just one coat of this mixture onto the white chalk paint above the decoupage paper and below it, just in case I have to put the slats on and it's going to show. I didn't want that bright white showing in the background. It's great for the decoupage paper, but not for what I'm going to do here with these little pieces of craft stick and wood. So here I go. Again, I started off kind of neat and tidy, but I started doing them multiples at a time. You see there, I'm getting all in it. And so the little rubber gloves, or the latex gloves, they come in quite handy. Right there. Anytime I use wax, I like to use the gloves. Don't like to get that all over my hands, even though Dawn Power Wash will get it off, no problem. All right, so here they go. I let them dry overnight. And so I'm just deciding which side I like it best. And then I'm going to just use just a dab of hot glue and start putting them on. I started in the middle, and at the angle where I was, it looked like it was straight. It's ever so slightly turned, but once I get it all on there, you're not going to be able to tell if that's not completely straight, because again, I put the brown on the bottom on the actual backing. And so if I have to, make allowances for it not being quite vertical, then I can do that. And it turns out great in the ending. I'm really pleased with how these little slats kind of filled in my holes or my vacant spots there at the top and the bottom. Really enjoy that. Now on the ending, I had to cut the wood sticks, which was not hard. I just used my scissors. These are very thin. One of the reasons why I bought these was that they're super thin. And so I just kind of cracked that one. There goes one. Whoop. And so because I still need that little bit of edge, that little 1/8 of an inch, so it'll fit into the frame. I didn't want it to, I wanted it to fit nice and flush into the frame. And so that's why I left a little bit of space. It probably would have fit a full craft stick, but then it wouldn't have fit into the frame. So I wanted to leave that allowance. And look, now you can see how many I had left out of the package of 150. I ended up with about 10 left. So that was a great, that just really worked out. I really lucked out there. Now what I'm doing is, this is Mod Podge, and I'm mixing in just a little bit of the antique Waverly wax because there was a little bit of whiteness that was coming through in that dark section where the florals are. And I just wanted to darken that a little bit and, getting one more layer of those pretty swirls is just going to look lovely. I did go ahead and put on the center part just plain Mod Podge without the Waverly wax, just so that it was a complete, it looked complete. There wasn't a hole. The coverage was complete. But that fixed that little white problem that was coming through on that decoupage paper. I don't know if that was just a place in the decoupage or what. But we fixed it. And there he is up on the mantle. Oh my goodness. With his little picket fence. Oh, goodness sakes. How cute is this? I just love it. That decoupage paper. And I have 2 others. And they are not necessarily Eastery. They don't have, one has eggs and one doesn't. And so, honestly, I could use that bunny some other time. All right. Now we've moved on to, this is a Goodwill up in Savannah. A couple of my doctors were in Savannah over the fall and winter. And so whenever we went, we always treated ourselves to a trip to these big Goodwills in Savannah, and which is about an hour away from us. And so I found these little cute bunny crates. They're $4. And this one, I don't know, that little look he's got on him is a little shifty. But it's funny, all the little slats are just ever so slightly different, and the dowels, but obviously the bunnies on the end were cut by the same pattern. I don't know. They're just darling, but they're just a little bit different. Now, they were all sealed. All the ones with the pink on them were all sealed. They had decoupage paper, obviously, on them, but 2 of them were sealed to where the paper was not coming off. But this one wasn't. This one had kind of flappy ends and paper, so that might have been the one that did last. See, I couldn't get any paper off of there, and I tried to get that big flower off there as well, but they were super sealed. I don't know what kind of sealant they used, but it worked. And so they all went outside after I got some of the paper off that was going to come off anyway, off that one. We'll add some baking soda, some chalk paint, and I'm going to fix that problem here in just a few minutes. And so they just got spray painted with some primer, and then I'm going to use the baking soda, obviously here with my chalk paint. I'm going to mix that up, and that is going to cover any imperfections, bumps, and this is the one with the craft stick slats. The rest of them had little wood pieces slats. So this one definitely needed some help. Had some staples in there that were a little this way and that way. And so putting the chunky on it is going to definitely help it. Give it some strength and just smooth things out. Getting rid of all that pink was a challenge. That was good solid stuff. So I'm just kind of moving it into all of those cracks and crevices, kind of like I would do wax, and kind of smooths things out and doesn't make that flower look quite so, crafty, and looks a little bit more moldy. Not moldy like yucky moldy, but like a mold. And I did that on purpose, which I did not. But this textured paint is going to take out any of the, you can see there, just a little bit of texture, but we fixed that. Now on the side that does not have the molded flower, I'm going to put this decoupage paper. This paper this print I bought from Etsy, and I put a link to that Etsy dealer below if you want these. It comes in a set of 4, and I decided to use the bunny. I think there's a chick and some eggs and something else in this set, but they're all beautiful decoupage papers with that grain sack stripe, and then the beautiful wreaths. I just love that, and the French writing. And then I'm just going to do exactly like I did before and do it in 2 sections. This one I am going to use the brayer, and I'm going to leave alone for a little while so that will set. I do have to do a little bit of piecing here. It was not quite big enough for the bunny below, so I'm just going to do some relief cuts. And what I take off that still has some color, I'm going to piece together on the sides where it was a little bit too narrow on the vertical side. So we're just going to kind of put a little bit on that. I do, there we go. So I have a dry top at this point, but I am going to tear off a little bit of the print. Now I have a laser jet color printer, so I don't have to worry about bleeding ink. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap some Mod Podge on here and make it kind of a little more rounded on the sides for our little bunny shape underneath. And then I normally wouldn't do this, but I will be kind of trying to take the edge off on this wet Mod Podge. Normally I would wait till it was dry. I am going to come in here with my X-Acto and with my nail files and take off some of that, because I knew that if I left it to dry, 2 layers of copy paper and 2 layers of Mod Podge would be difficult to take off completely dry. So I am going to try to just get these little edges where I put some extra on it and get that off here while it's still a little bit moist. And I just had to do that, carefully. I just went in carefully, but again, it had lots of layers, so it was kind of protecting itself. There we go. Now here's the next day. You can see I've changed clothes. So this is dry, so I can be pretty rough with it, because it is copy paper with Mod Podge, and so it's going to take a beating, which is fine. I like a little bit of a rough edge. That's going to look nice with the print is kind of a rough edge, and there goes the X-Acto blade to get out that edge, or the little notch between the ears. Yeah, and I got a smaller nail file to get up in there. And I just love this decoupage paper side. We're going to do something a little different on the other side. These are those transfers that I told you I found at the Dollar Tree. These are the new transfers out this spring. A lot of beautiful things. And I actually ordered mine from DollarTree.com and got them pretty quick. I was very happy with it, and I was able to find all of them. I haven't seen all of them in my stores, but I have seen a few of them, and I've seen some crafters on YouTube using these already, so they're in their stores already. Hopefully you can find them. They are easy to use, just like the IOD transfers. These transfers work beautifully. I just am going to use 3 of them. I'm going to kind of cut from 3 of them to fill up this side of the bunny box. And so I'm going to use 2 that are kind of mirrored for the ears. I'm also going to be cutting out some of the kind of purplish blue hydrangeas from the other sheet there to put at the top of the ears. And then I'm going to do just kind of a random all over this side of the bunny box, as well as on the little flower there. I put a nice little bird. There's one of the hydrangeas. And so I'm just gonna, this one I am gonna sand over. I'm just using a very light grit, fine grit nail file, and just kind of roughing it up and kind of just, I don't want to say digging it into the textured paint there, but that's what it's gonna, I hope it looks like. I'm trying to take a little bit of that sheen away because I want it to look just like that textured paint, and bring some of that paint through the transfer, make it look like it was painted there. And so I'm going to just continue using my transfer stick. And again, if you pull it up and some of the transfer comes still on that piece of plastic, just put it right back down. And these Dollar Tree transfers are great. They work beautifully. And so I'm cutting out and putting a few more little this and that's here and there. Some butterflies and the birds, hydrangeas and the pretty drawings. Hopefully you can find these transfers at your Dollar Tree. Most likely my Dollar Trees get things a little later, so I'll start seeing them soon. But here they are, with a few little bunnies from Walmart. And look how pretty that is. Not IOD transfers, those are Dollar Tree transfers. I love it. And of course my little Etsy print on this side. I really love how that decoupage and those transfers look. All right. Now also from the Dollar Tree, we're going to do the other bunny. We're going to put these stickers on them. These stickers are called metallic stickers. And I love them because they are rounded and they stick flush to your surface so that I can do some painting and some waxing techniques. And we're going to use this one here. This is the one that didn't need the textured paint. I decided I would use these three right here because they have kind of rounded flowers, very much like that rounded flower that I couldn't get off of this bunny. So we're going to go with it. And I'm going to use, let's see, I guess I'm going to make sure that it's all sanded, all my edges. I don't mind a little bit of a distressed edge. Kind of gives it some character. Whoever made these did a really nice job. And I just imagine that it was some, parents, and they made them for their kids, and the kids got to decorate them, which was fun. All right, I'm going to use some Aleene's Tacky Glue, and I like this particular bottle because it allows me to keep the glue right down there in the tip, but the cap, I can click it closed, or I can just set it right down into the cap. So I'm really liking this particular bottle. And these are very sticky stickers, but I was concerned that it would not stick to this chalk paint very well. So the Aleene's Tacky Glue is just insurance that it's going to stay right where I need it to be. See, I tried it without the Aleene's, and I'm seeing if I like it, and it's just coming up on the edges. It came off very easy. You saw it right there. So that Tacky Glue is just going to do the job. And it gets, I'm able to, with that little applicator, get it right up into the corners, nice and smooth, and there we go. So I'm just going to cover both sides. I'm going to do the same technique on both sides of this one. So no matter which way I turn it, it's going to be the same. And it looks darling right here with all the colors and pretty things. But I am going to do a little technique here. Now, this is an Oops paint from Home Depot, and it cost me $2. And I saw that big, beautiful seafoam green, agave-like color, and it just drew me to it. It's a Behr chalk paint, and somebody had this mixed up. I can't believe they left it behind. It's so pretty. But their loss is my gain, so I have this beautiful chalk paint. Not sure what the color is. It kind of mimics Waverly's agave, kind of a cross between the agave and pool. Now, after I get this completely coated with 2 coats of that Behr chalk paint, I'm going to take it outside and give it a seal. So I'm going to use my matte clear Rust-Oleum, which is my favorite sealant, because I'm going to use wax, white wax. This is Annie Sloan's white wax. And if I use the white wax, which is also water-based, if I used it with this on top of just the unsealed chalk paint, it would reactivate the chalk paint and it would take it up so that I would see a lot of that color in the stickers, and I didn't want to bring that color back. In some cases, I might want to bring the color back from the stickers, but in this one, I just wanted that beautiful agave color, which is what I decorate with here at my house. And then I'm just making it pretty with white wax. I'm just, it's my mission to white wax the world. It just makes everything so pretty. And of course, this is the Annie Sloan white wax, which is a true white. The Waverly's a little bit more ivory in color, but I love them both, and I use them equally both. Keep getting into my wax. I always put a little, glop of wax out on my paper because I don't like to reintroduce any kind of paints or anything into my container of white wax. And here it is. Look how pretty. That's the other side that I put stickers on, and then this is the one that I showed you putting the stickers on with that flower that was already there. And we just went with it, and I think it just complements that so well. And there's my best friend, Mr. Toby, and he's looking on this beautiful mantle and hearth. I put the bunny baskets on the hearth. Here I have it on this little hat or cheese box or hat box or whatever that is. I got all of this at a thrift store. There's the book stack I made into a tree. On the other side is a Christmas tree, and I love it. And there's the other side of this one with the decoupage paper. Insect stripe. And that wood vase and all of these baskets and grapevine wreaths are from the thrift store. And then, of course, here's this one with the paint from Home Depot and the white wax. Love how that turned out. So there's my hearth, and then we're going to head up to this bit of joy up here. All of this is thrifted. These beautiful books, they're both music books. That wooden vase was from the Restore, and then look at this cutie patootie. Oh my goodness, and the white flowers in the background, and the little pickets. I just love it so much. But the reason for every day, every season, every day is this old rugged cross and this beautiful rose, or we call Jesus the Rose of Sharon, because in the Song of Solomon, he says, I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valley. And so we remember the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. And I've included the lyrics to that beautiful hymn in my description box. So I thank you so much for joining me today. I pray God's blessings on you this spring. And we are here from the Blue House on this corner of St. Simon's Island. We are thankful for the rose